Hey everybody, it's Caleb and welcome back to the Pink Side. Well, guys, you've seen me call various members of the domestic discipline community out numerous times and call out certain things from the manosphere that have infected the domestic discipline community. But I almost never talk about people directly. As a matter of fact, I don't think I have ever called anybody out by name. But that's going to change in this video. And this is not something I'm going to make a habit of. I'm going to go back to not mentioning names after this, and even in this video, I'm not going to mention names, but what you see on your screen, this little meme you see on your screen, I left this guy's identifying information in there as far as his Instagram for a reason. So let's talk about this, shall we? The guy that made this meme that you're seeing on the screen right now, he is absolutely one of the guys that I have called out in the past without mentioning his name for some of his beliefs and some of his stuff that he says to sort of degrade women, and I just don't consider him to be a legitimate member of the domestic discipline community. Unfortunately, he is a somewhat prominent member of the domestic discipline community. And guys, this is the kind of stuff that hurts our community. Now, first of all, let me apologize for putting this picture to the sideways. It's the only way that I could fit the full thing onto the screen. But let's examine this. You have a wife standing there full of mud, and the mud represents stubbornness, loudness, prudishness, foolishness, etc., right? Bad things. Then you have the husband standing there with a hose, holding his wife's wrist forcefully, and spraying her directly in the face with that hose forcefully. This is so disrespectful and so degrading to women. And I wouldn't even mind if this was a joke, but I know who this guy is and I know how he thinks. This is absolutely not a joke. He wasn't being funny with this. I mean, he might have been a little bit, but when you look at some of his other posts, like he believes women shouldn't have the right to vote. He believes women shouldn't have their own credit cards. He believes that we should go back to the days when women were just given away in marriage against their will, whether the woman wanted to marry the guy or not. And by the way, brother, I know you're listening to this, so you're probably going to hear this video, see this video sometime soon, because word's going to get back to you. Even back in the day when fathers gave away brides for, money or whatever the exchange was, when fathers gave away their daughters to a man and the man paid, shekels of silver or whatever. Even then, do you really think that a father is just going to give his daughter to just anybody that shows up with the money or whatever to take his daughter away? What dad do you know would do that? Even in that system. Dads have a natural instinct to protect their daughters, so I'm quite sure that even back then, there was some sort of a dating process that took place. But this guy's beliefs about women have no place in the domestic discipline community. He has no place in the domestic discipline community. He believes women shouldn't really have too many rights whatsoever. And like I said, go look at some of his other posts if you don't believe me. The sad part is he's a great resource for domestic discipline history. Like, he's got a lot of good stuff showing the history of how domestic discipline was always like a practice through most of human history and stuff like this. So he's a great resource for that. But the way he thinks is just not compatible with the domestic discipline community. See, the difference between guys like him and guys like me is I want women to be under the authority of domestic discipline, and so does he. But I want women to be under the authority of domestic discipline by their own choice, by their own free will. This guy wants the state to sort of impose domestic discipline onto women. And of course, the woman doesn't get her own credit card and doesn't get to vote. And, I've already covered this ground. But see, this is the kind of thing that keeps women from joining domestic discipline communities. The movie 50 Shades of Grey proved that the majority of women at least have some degree of interest in domestic discipline. So you ask yourself, why aren't there more women posting and talking about it and joining us in our forums and our internet websites and stuff? Well, it's because when they go to research domestic discipline, they see guys like this goofball posting stuff like this. And they think, I don't want a man who thinks it's funny to spray a woman aggressively in the face with a hose. So they just don't engage. This man looks down on women, and there's a lot of men who look down on women, but again, this guy is problematic because he is a somewhat prominent member of the domestic discipline community. And that makes him a threat to women, and that makes him a threat to our reputation as far as, you don't want somebody who's curious about domestic discipline to go on Google and search it, and then this guy's stuff comes up, and it's like, oh, I don't want to be down with this. You know what I mean? This guy is consistently disrespectful to women. But this here post, it did something for me that I had to make a video about it. Like this guy here, this stuff here, just spraying a woman in the face with a hose like that, just forcefully, supposedly cleansing her of all her mistakes and problems and stuff. That's not what domestic discipline is all about. That's not what domestic discipline is all about. And I've seen this guy because he's done a couple of interviews on YouTube. I can tell this dude has never been in a fight in his life and doesn't have any kind of toughness to him whatsoever. If I caught him doing something like this to a woman in front of me, you don't even want to know what I would do. But this is one of those guys who has no control over his own life, so he uses domestic discipline, the domestic discipline community on the internet, as a way of exercising control or pretending he has some kind of control in his life, and he aims that control at women in general. These are the guys I wish we could weed out. Unfortunately, there is no weeding out system on the internet because he can always just make his own community. But any ladies listening to this, I will guarantee you this. I can't control the entirety of the domestic discipline community, especially on the internet. But I can guarantee you that you will never be treated the way this cartoon depicts while you're on the pink side. The pink side community respects women. The pink side community values women. And the pink side community adores women. We don't disrespect women here. Do we put them over our knee when we feel it's necessary? Yes. But we encourage women to be better people, and we help women through their struggles, and we do what a real leader, a real domestic discipline man should do. This guy degrades women at every opportunity. But if I catch somebody treating a woman the way this guy likes to talk about women, if I catch somebody in the pink side doing that, that guy will be reprimanded, and if he does it again, he will be removed. The pink side is a real domestic discipline community. We do not tolerate intentional disrespect to women here. Hopefully other GD communities around the internet will take note of guys like this and start setting themselves apart from guys like this so that we can have like a real domestic discipline community without the creeps getting involved. That's all for today.